everybody, today I'm going to do a little demonstration on the herbs and remedies that are used in the 1830s. So stay tuned. So today we're here at a reenactment, and I thought I would show you some of the common herbs that are used in the 1830s or any type of any colonial times in the United States. So one of the first things that I talk about is wound healing, because that was a very important part of an herbalist of the time. Is if you couldn't heal the wound, your patient was going to die. So the first thing that I talk about is, of course, what's the first thing you do when you're healing a wound? You clean it. And this right here is a wound cleaner, and it is made with grain alcohol and yarrow, because yarrow is known to stop bleeding, and it has an anti-inflammatory properties, which helps with the inflammation of the wound. So we have cleaned the wound with our wound cleaner, and then we go on to a healing salve. Well, with a healing salve, you want to use some healing herbs, which I use calendula, which is this herb right here. It grows in your garden, and you collect the flower part of it and dry it. And calendula is a healing herb. And then I found another herb today. This is plantain, or also called ribwort, which is another good healing herb, and another one that I put in my healing salve. So I have my healing herbs in the oil, which I am infusing the oil with the herbs to get all the constituents out of the herbs into the oil. And then I will take the plant material out. I have my infused oil, and I'll add this right here, which is beeswax. So I'll take a chunk of beeswax, melt it, mix it up with my infused oil, and I create a salve. This is my healing salve, which is made with plantain, calendula, and St. John's wort, infused in olive oil, and then use beeswax, and voila! You have a healing salve. So we have cleaned the wound. We have put the wound ointment on it. What's the next thing you do to a wound? Well, you add your Band-Aid. So this is a Band-Aid of the 1830s, and it is just a piece of cloth. Hopefully it's clean, and you wrap your cleaned wound up with it, and of course pray to God that you did a good job and your wound doesn't fester. But if your wound festers, then we still have some remedies up our sleeves. And the thing that I would do when you have a wound with gangrene is, of course, I'm going to cut it open and clean it out to the best I can. And then I will grab another herb, this one right here, which this is Spanish moss. And I will take Spanish moss because it is a drawer herb, so it draws its nutrients from the air. So I am hopefully using it to the best of my ability, and we will draw the toxins from the wound and hopefully save your appendage, whether it's your arm or your leg that we're trying to save. And of course we will have teas that I will create, whether it's a tea out of black walnut hulls, or it could be echinacea, which I have some echinacea tincture here. So this is my echinacea tincture. We'll just be throwing everything we can at it to hopefully keep from having to take the next step, because now we're coming into dire needs. If we don't take care of this, we'll die. So the next step our packing the wound didn't help with the Spanish moss, so now we have to cut off your appendage. And this is where this comes in. This is my sutures, which is an agave leaf that I have pounded, and now I have the threads attached to the thorn, or now there's a needle attached to that to stitch up the wound and hopefully save your life. And the interesting thing about this is agave is anti-inflammatory and antibacterial. So what that means is, as you're stitching up the wound, it has antibacterial properties, so it's taking care of the bacteria. Hopefully it'll kill it, keep it at bay. And the anti-inflammatory, it is there to reduce the swelling, which swelling a lot of times is what creates some of the pain, so it therefore can help with pain relief. So that's my thread. And I just have it soaking in grain alcohol until I need to use it. So we talked about pain, and of course this helps relieve some of the pain, but it's not going to relieve all of it. So one of the other things that I might go to is this right here, and this is willow bark, which is the precursor to aspirin. And this is what I use to relieve pain. But you have to watch out. You don't want too much of this because it does have some anticoagulant properties in it, so you want to make sure that your patient doesn't bleed to death. Therefore, you wouldn't give too terribly much of this. But there are other herbs that we can use for pain relief. You know, we could use some chamomile. We can do some chamomile tea to relax the patient, or even we could use lavender, which is this plant right here. And that would help not only relieve the pain, it would relax the patient, which, you know, a tense patient is going to create more pain issues because they're tensing up the muscles of the area. So these would be good teas to have around. And of course, then you could also go to some stronger things of knocking your patient out with some grain alcohol or valerian, things like that. So that is wounds. Now, that's not the only arsenal we have, or the only thing we have in our arsenal. Another thing that we would use on a common basis is black salve or drawing salve, and this is made with a couple of ingredients. We have clay or dirt daubers, or dirt, which comes from the dirt daubers. This is the nest, so I collect it, and the reason I collect dirt dauber's nest is because it's done the job for me. So it's collected the dirt, cleaned it, and even put it in this nice, neat little case for me to carry around or have around until I need to use the dirt. And when I need to use it, I just grind it up in my mortar and pestle and take the chrysalis and any other debris out of it. And then I would add ash, you know, like from your hearth. You want clean ash, and you grind it up with the dirt dauber's nest. Add a little bit of pine tar, and of course your black salve wouldn't be finished until you use lard, lard is rendered pig fat. You use whatever you have available to you on the farms of colonial period. So that is your black salve, and that would be used for bug bites, bee stings, boils, snake bites, anything, splinters, anything that you would need to pull from your skin. You would want to use have some black salve around to use that for that. And of course, it's not all about wounds and pulling things from your skin. You know, we do come up with ailments like colds and flus and other winter ailments. But of course, a half a pound of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So your prevention is this right here. This is aspidity. So This is a resin that is imported from India and is available at any apothecary, and you would have this around for whenever you needed it, and you only need a little bit. So you take about a fingertip amount, and you would put it in some fabric and tie a string around it, and you have created a bag or a sachet to wear around your neck to ward off illness in the wintertime. So that is your prevention, but then of course you've gotten sick with the crud. And then we would come up with remedies for that. It could be something as simple as cough medicine. So this is my cough medicine. It is lemon and ginger, just sliced up, put in a jar, topped off with honey, and just let it assimilate for a little while, and you have natural cough syrup. Now, if you come up with something that you need a little bit more oomph behind, then you can add blackberry brandy and peppermint schnapps, and you have created a decongestant that will knock you out. Good for kids. So that's good for coughs and chest congestion, and of course, there's the old time remedies like a chest rub, which this right here is camphor, and you can mix it up with a little bit of lard, or even go all out and make a salve with lotion, and your other remedies or plant remedies in your lotion to create your own version of chest rub, similar to what we have today, like a Vicks. So you could use camphor, you can use any of the aromatic herbs like mints, you can use even garlic. It's a good aromatic herb. You can even go as far as mustard seed and grind it up and create a poultice. But you definitely want to know how you're using this, because it can create blisters on your skin. So that's for chest congestion. You can also create, of course, your elderberry syrup, which is made with elderberry, and then I put cinnamon, clove, a little bit of ginger and lemon, just to throw everything in the pot. Let it simmer for a couple of hours. Pull the plant material out. Add some local honey to it, and you have an herbal tonic that is made with elderberry. Now that we're getting into spring, right now I'm sitting and it's March, so you want your spring tonic, which is a root beer tonic, and this particular tonic is made, is actually root beer. It's made with sassafras, sarsaparilla, burdock root, and depending on your recipe, you might have astragalus or even dandelion root. There's a whole lot of different roots that you can add to your root tonic. Add a little bit of sugar to it. It helps the medicine go down, and you have your own root beer. You can ferment it for it to last longer, and it is literally a beer. It's fermented beer. So that is your root beer, which is a good tonic for the springtime to flush your system, because you've been cooped up indoors all winter with everybody's ailments floating around. Just the nastiness of the cabin being closed up. So that's why spring is a good time to create your root tonic. And of course, spring is a good time to find natural herbs, or herbs that are growing out in the fields or yards. And this is one that I found this morning. This is yellow dock, and yellow dock is a pot herb, so you can make soups and stews out of the leaf, similar to spinach. And then, of course, you don't want to throw away the roots. You save the roots, and it is good for your tonic. You can save it, clean it up, dry it, grind it up just a little bit, and you can save it for later. So that is yellow dock. We also have dandelion, which is over here. So if we'll walk over here. So here's another good spring herb to have. Great for your salads. The young leaves tastes good in a salad. The older leaves you can put in a stew. Of course, you can save your flowers for dandelion wine. So it's just a good all-around herb to have around and use the whole herb. You can even use the roots in your tonics. Another herb that I found today was this herb right here, which is clover. Another great herb to have in your salads, and it just helps out with getting your greens. The flowers can be saved and used for allergy remedy. And then we have chickweed. This right here is chickweed, is another herb that I found this morning. And chickweed can be used in your salads, but it also is good for skin health. So you can create a salve out of chickweed, and you would do it just the same way as I explained here. You would infuse your oil with chickweed. You would take the plant material out, add your beeswax, and voila, you have a good all-around skin lotion that's great for your skin. Spanish moss is another good plant to use in your general skincare lotions. Science is actually finding that it boosts the capillaries in your skin to help your skin supple. So that's some of the remedies that we have here today. And that's it for today. I'm Bekka, playing as the 1830s village herbalist. I will see you again soon. Bye.